Welcome to another video of the Target Individual Program, the Target Individual Experience. So, I was getting ready to record another video, not for this channel, but another channel that I have. And I was going to talk about the federal mandated destruction of the black family, and also talk about the various ways in which those things were accomplished. And I remember Dr. Jose Delgado book. It's called, let me see the book here. It's called, tell you guys in a second, Physical Control of the Mind. Okay. That's what it's called. It's called Physical Control of the Mind Towards a Psycho-Civilized Society. Because, again, a lot of people don't want to believe that there are technologies that have been created for decades now that can control the human mind um, using radio waves and microwave frequency. All right. So when I got to this part of the book, explaining these things, um, sirens, fire trucks started going off. They drove by on my block, really, really loud, then followed by car honking, and then finally they played the Hunger Games song, which I say they love to play for me when I'm here. It's funny because they don't do it when I'm on my pan, but they do it when I'm here. And again, it is a threat of homelessness and losing my disability and such and such. Right? Uh, so while I was getting ready to do that video, again, they started calling my phone, right? Because again, I'm being monitored, I'm being watched, and whenever I come upon certain truths and explain it, and again, this is what they do to try to stay ahead of me because of the remote monitoring, basically trying to stay a step ahead of me. So because again, they are afraid of the truth, and so when you speak the truth, they will come up with lies, and they will come up with other things to try to negate or try to say, oh, that's not true and that's not real, and all this other stuff. And you can see here again. Let's see here. Okay. I mean, they're calling me again, right? Okay. And so whenever, I guess today, since I've been doing these videos, I did a video earlier. Funny they didn't call me, but now they did. Why? Because my other channel deals with exposing what the government has done towards black people, right? To make us as black people understand that what was done to us was systematic, it was intentional, it was federally mandated, right, within the laws, and it's still happening today. Even though discrimination is it's illegal to discriminate, but we all know discrimination still exists. Okay, so having a law that says, okay, it's illegal to discriminate don't mean anything, because they will find other ways to get around those laws and still discriminate. I just was just reading an article recently about a black woman who went to get her house appraised, and this is happening all over, right? This black family went to get their house appraised, and their house was appraised lower than what they thought it should be appraised for. So they got their white friends, got pictures, put it all over the house of a white family, got another appraisal, and the house got appraised for significantly more money. So again, when you hear black people talk about there's no such thing as discrimination, discrimination ended, those are people who have been brainwashed into believing such thing, and they believe it because they understand by going against the truth will help them financially. right? So they think about themselves and their selfishness and their own gain, right? And so, it's the state of people who's oppressed. There's going to be some of us who will assist in the oppression of the very own people for personal gain, right? So let's play one of the message um, that was sent. So there's now two messages there. All right, two messages there. Let's play the first one.
What? Come on, partner. The day ain't gonna complete itself. You gotta get out of bed. You remind me of Uncle. Don't be coming out with that lumbago crap again. I ain't having it. Pull my six-shooter and get you out myself. Whether you be alive or dead, it don't make much difference to me. Come on. So goddamn lazy. What the hell's wrong with you?
And again, this is racial epithet, racial themes about black people being lazy. Uh, well, you know, I always got to combat these things. Like I said, I started working in the industry, printing industry at around 21, about 21, 22, right? Worked tons of hours. I was always the one coming in on the weekends, right? Sometimes I'll work 55, 58 hours. Sometimes I've worked a 60-hour week, right? While my white coworkers, they leave punch out at 5 o'clock, right? So again, they can say all of this as they want, but let me tell you something. Black people in this country are the hardest working people. The lazy people are the white ones, right? Their ass was so lazy they had to go to Africa, right, to kidnap black people, turn them into slaves to come and do the work that they didn't want to do. Okay? So, like I said, they want to project themselves onto us, but we're not going to have it anymore. All right? So I haven't listened to the second message, but let's listen to hear what it says. All right. I might have to play this again. For some reason, I'm not seeing any uh, volume indicator on the mic. Um, so let me try to adjust the mic settings. And yeah, another call. Another call. Again. So what I suspect is that the recording and the frequency in which they are where these messages are being played off of, whatever device is being played off of, it's making it difficult for the mic, the desktop microphone that I have here to pick it up. And but again, it is to be expected because they will, find ways to uh, try and stop you from exposing what it is that they're doing. So, um, just to just make sure. Okay. So I think this one was fine. Let's go back to this one. Okay. All right. This is that they just left. Let's go to the one before that. So, anyways, a song that says "Save your money, save whatever." They're nothing but a bunch of fried jigaboo. So again, like I said, black people, you participate in this, or for whatever reason they want to tell you, they want to say what have you, such and such. Um, you know, not only are they insulting me, but they're insulting you also. So you may relic in the thought of that you have some sort of power, or you belong to some group or organization that gives you power over an individual. You don't have power over me. Okay? You may be able to deny me a job, housing, what have you, but you will not have power over me. There's the one thing. See, this is why. And even a lot of people who call themselves woke are not really woke, right? Unless you understand what white supremacy is truly about, right? Because if you believe as a black person in America or wherever in diaspora that you are free, okay, you're out of your damn mind, right? So let me show you what they are afraid of. You hear the sirens? So here is Dr. Jose Delgado, experimental control of brain functions in behaving subjects. Okay? In our present technological environment, we are used to the idea that machines can be controlled from a distance by means of radio signals. The doors of a garage can be opened or closed by pushing a button in our car. The channels and volumes of a television set can be adjusted by pressing the corresponding knobs of a small telecommand instrument without moving from a comfortable armchair. And even orbiting capsule can now be directed from tracking stations on Earth. These accomplishments should familiarize us with the idea that we may also control the biological functions of living organisms from a distance. Cats, monkeys, or human beings can be induced to flex a limb, to reject food, or to feel emotional excitement under the influence of electrical impulses reaching the depth of their brain through radio wave purposefully sent by an investigator. This reality has introduced a variety of scientific and physiological questions, and to understand the significant potential and limitation of brain control. It is convenient to review briefly the basis for normal behavior activities and the methodology for its possible artificial modification, and then consider some representative examples of electrical control of behavior in both animals and man. So you see, like I said, these things are not new. Remember, this book was written in 1968. 1968. Okay? So, let's continue. In the vegetables as well as in the animal kingdom, the dynamics of biological processes are related to ionic movement and electrical charges across the membrane, which separates cells from the surrounding medium. For example, during the process of photosynthesis, the leaf of a tree captures energy from the sun, and a negative potential is created on its receptive surface. In a similar manner, activation of a quid axon, a frog muscle, or a human brain is accompanied by a negative wave which invades cellular membrane and then disappears. This transmembrane change of potential induce a flow of electrical current in the circular uh, cryptoplasm and surrounding conducting fluids. Cellular activity may therefore be investigated by recording the electrical potentials appearing across the membrane or by detecting the difference in potential which appear in the extracellular fluid. Even if the recording electrodes are placed at a considerable distance from the electromotive source, this is the basic principle of recording electricity activity of the heart, electrocardiogram, EKG. Through electrodes placed on the extremities or of studying electrical potential of the brain, electroencephalogram, EEG, by means of leads attached to the scalp. If electrodes are placed closer to the source of negativity, for example, in the depth of the brain, recording will be more accurate and may reveal the location of generators of electrical activity. Conversely, by using an external potential, an electrical field may be established through the extracellular fluid, and some of this current flows through the cellular membrane, modifying their charge and permeability, and producing the self-propagating process called stimulation. In order to stimulate, it is necessary to reduce quickly the positive charge which normally exists on the surface of a resting cell until it reached a critical point of local depolarization. Then the ionic permeability of the membrane is modified, triggering a pre-established sequence of electrical and chemical phenomena. Excitation takes place in the vicinity of the negative electrode, the cathode, because the application of negative charges will neutralize the normal existing positivity at the external part of the cellular membrane. When stimulation is over, the positive polarity is reestablished on the membrane surface with the aid of energy provided by specific chemical reaction, and the cell is ready for new stimulation. A relatively simple process of depolarization and repolarization of cell membranes are the central elements of neuronal excitation, and they are responsible for the extraordinary complexity of all behavioral performance. Okay? Our normal gap between understanding electrical event at the cellular level and deciphering the chain of phenomena taking place during the response of a whole organism is certainly formidable. How can we explain activities such as walking, problem solving, or ideation in terms of polarization and repolarization of memories? Behavior currently cannot occur without concomitant spike potentials and ionic exchange, but the same statement holds true for oxygen and sugar consumption, and we must differentiate the mechanism supporting basic non-specific cell activities such as metabolic requirement, and the mechanism more specifically related to behavioral response. Electrical activity in the neurons seems to have a dual role in indicating non-specific activity and transmitting coded information. This ability to transmit coded information is the most important part and least understood properly. But not anymore because they have this property. These are property enough. So, like I said, not anymore because they have been mapping the brain long before this so-called brain initiative during the Obama administration. They have already mapped the brain since the late 1980s. And it was in the late 1980s that you hear about individuals. The majority of us in America didn't even know about these things. Okay? That were calling and complaining, calling the US government, the NSA. I remember Julian McKinney, who worked for the NSA. There was a report that she had put online that in which she had expressed concern to her uh, to her supervisors, those higher up in the position within the NSA, about people calling, complaining, saying that they were being attacked by directed energy weapons. Okay, so I'm called my son just called me. I'm trying to answer him. I'm not hearing anything. Uh, you know, but again, this is probably them, you know, manipulating his mind to call me because when I answered, there was just complete silence, right? You know, so again, this is when they do stuff like that, of course, it is a threat, right? And to show me that they can actually uh, continue, which I already know, but he has to show the type of control that they have. Okay, so as I was saying, so they have already mapped the human brain. They have already developed the technology, the microchip, in which they can implant into the minds of a human being through the nasal cavity passage, which is direct passageway into the brain. So you do not have to go to the hospital to uh, have a microchip to have an operation of a microchip implanted in your mind, in your brain. Okay, right? Your nasal passageway is a direct passageway into the brain, right? So for me, when this happened to me a couple years later, when I went to get an MRI, I had a tumor. It said I had a tumor in I think it was the left extremity of my nasal passage. Okay. So again, evidence I've tried to get for many years and was denied, given the runaround. Even though I had insurance, I was working, I had very good insurance. The insurance would deny uh, that request, but I didn't give up. I kept going and going and going. I went to so many different facilities to get an MRI done, and I was met with interference with all sorts of things just to get the evidence. And the reason why they don't want USTIs to get any type of medical evidence, because the damage that has been done to us, to me, to you, right? Particularly the kind of damage that they know is associated with being hit with these types of weapons, and they are weapons. Okay, they don't want you to have that evidence, because without an explanation as to how you have these injuries or how you sustain these injuries, right? When there isn't anything in your life history to show that anything happened to you in terms of where you can explain properly, like a car accident, or you fall and hit your head or somewhere like that. You play contact sports, or all of a sudden, your The white matter in your brain is it's being depleted. It's being, because of the constant impact, sort of like what athletes experience when playing contact sports, and which leads to PTSD, which leads to rage and all these other things, right? They don't want you to have that evidence, okay? And this is a cover up on so many levels, so many levels, right? So, um, I'm not going to read all of this. This is a book that I was able to get it online for free. I refuse to buy, spend money on buying books like these by these criminals, by these sociopaths who are regarded as so-called high esteemed scientists and physicists and psychologists and what have you, because what they have done is they have uh, created they have done some of the most evil things that one person or group of people can do to other human beings. Okay, so they know that this was coming. You see, recently, because also I've been on this binge where I've just started, like, buying a lot of books. A lot of them is free. A lot of books are available online, even through Amazon, that have hidden uh, that was hidden from us, the public, right, society, hidden from the world. And there are those that are putting these books out there, so we can have access to those things, so we can understand what's truly going on. We can understand that those at the top, and what their true purpose are, and what it is that they've continued to do, and all through their mentality don't change all throughout history. They keep breeding the same type of people and raising them to have the same type of mentality. Right? So when they are looking at you and want to say, okay, well, you got to change, right? Why is it that we have to change when they're the one that's pulling our strings, manipulating us? Why isn't they're the ones that have to change, right? It's like these racist police officers out there killing black people, saying, well, black people got to change. They got to take care of their own neighborhood. Well, black people don't own anything in their neighborhood that they live in. It's not our neighborhood. Okay, because the white establishment do not want black people to have any sort of power, whether it be political or economic. Worst of all, economics, because with economics, with money comes power. They understand that. Okay, and so again, when a person like me or other people like me, who they understand our personality and see that uh, one thing, that money is not something that drives us, we become a threat. And particularly if you are a type of person who's sticking for other people, right? Stand by other people. They don't want that. They want society to be separated and divided, because that is how they rule and that's how they control people. All right. And it's something that we have to understand. Okay. So again, when they want to talk about these things don't exist, they know it does. Now, at the same time, this doctor was doing all this experimentation. The Russians were doing experimentations on the American embassy and American embassy workers in Russia. So again, when they say that this stuff, uh, that these things don't exist, these weapons don't exist, it is a bold-faced lie, and they're getting caught in this lie. And I am helping to expose those lies, right? And this is the reason why our community, particularly the black community, is so surveilled. Okay, this is why now they're moving on to storing our DNA, and they've been doing that. Actually, they've been doing that for decades. Okay, it's not the not the first time. You just don't know about it. Why? Because they want to manipulate our DNA to remove certain traits, to make us more docile, more compliant. Right? White supremacy is always working to keep us, particularly black people and other TIs and poor white people too, okay, at the bottom. Right? Because these individuals think that they are different from us, so they can experiment on us, they can manipulate us, they can do all sorts of things to us, right? And then get us to turn around and blame each other and fight against each other. Okay. And the one thing we know in any society, when you have rulers who are, remember, America, people think America is a free country, and it's not. America is not a free country. You may have your constitution, this and that, but guess what? You have secret courts, secret grand juries, right? Secret facilities in which they can kidnap someone, torture them. Yes, even the police departments across America has that also, not just the CIA or the NSA or what have you. Okay? So, they would like you to think that this country is different from other countries like China, like, but just remember, right? Though we are living in a capitalistic society, that's what it is, a capitalistic society. It's not a democracy. Let's make that distinction. Okay? The United States is not a true democracy. All right? It is what they call a technocratic society. Okay? So, when they would like you to believe that it's only China, Russia, North Korea, these other countries who they want to demonize, the Middle Eastern countries who they want to demonize and say this and that. But just remember, too, that the United States have helped create a lot of countries which abuse their people by murdering the democratically elected presidents or prime ministers or what have you. And because these democratically elected individuals really try to do what's right for the people of their country, they've all been assassinated. Okay? So don't let these people try to turn their face up or turn their nose up at you thinking that they're more than you. They're not. Okay? They're not. They're a bunch of psychopaths and narcissists running around thinking that they're do-gooders. Right? Because they're too ignorant to understand what's really going on. They're too ignorant to understand that they're committing acts of evil, for one, even acts that goes against their own belief system, right? But they still do it. Okay? So, it is disheartening when you understand what's going on, because again, when psychopaths are in power, sociopaths, the dark triads, that and how they breed a society that is narcissistic in nature, sort of like Germany, what the Nazi did, as and again, the Nazi didn't do anything different that the Americans weren't doing. Okay, yes, the Americans were experimenting on black people. They were killing black people. They enslaved black people. They damn well eat black people. Okay, yes, they did. I just got a book. It's called The Delectable Negro, which I have to read. But it's talk about how in terms of white power and how they feed off of black people, and also narratives from slaves that talks about white people literally eating black people, eating their flesh, their bodies, particularly black male. Okay, and the homoeroticism that white male had towards black male. So for a lot of you black males in the LGBT community, what have you, you guys have to do some serious research, all right? And also understand that they have developed technologies in which they can change your sexual preference using these radio frequency technology weapons, microwave weapons. These things are real. Not discounting that you may have been born the way you are, which is fine, right? But go back and look deep. And then also remember too that when a black LGBT or trans person gets murdered, right? Where are the white LGBT community members coming out in solidarity and speaking out against it. They're silent, but they want you to speak out against when one of their members are killed or beat up or assaulted or what have you. Right? It's the same thing that the white feminist movement did to black women. Right? Because the ultimate goal is to destroy black men. The ultimate goal is to create black men that are docile, feminine, because of white male fear of a strong, decisive, independent, unifying black male population. Okay? One who is goal driven and goal towards the making society better for black people, whether it's economic, psychological, social, right, educational, science and all the fields that in science, right, as well as technology. Hence the reason why you don't see a lot of black people getting degrees as engineers, computer engineers, computer what is it? I mean, I'm taking computer engineering. I went back to school for that, but computer science, mechanical engineer, those sort of things, because we are steered and geared away from these fields. Why? Because the white supremacist society has a lot to hide. Okay, and to also, when the day comes when these truths are revealed, how are we going to create countermeasures if we don't have a clue, an idea of what these people have been up to? And this is going to benefit anybody when we start learning about these things. And as a TI, I think we all should try to get into a field that can help us as a group of people. Okay, and so that was one of my purposes for going back to school. And of course, they fought so hard against that, and I'm not in school this semester, but I'm working my way back to going back the next semester, and we'll see what happens. They might introduce new things. I mean, I'm paying off the $1,000 that they say I owe, and when I finish paying that off, I'm sure they're gonna come and say, okay, well, you owe more money, because this is what they do, right? So understanding these things is it really is key, right? So how was I was gonna look for something, and totally it got out my mind. But anyway, so like I said, these things are not new, and they have been manipulating us. They have been creating, particularly as black people, they have been creating weapons that is based on our DNA makeup, just as the South African racist, this is the racist government in South Africa was before, the fall of apartheid, in that they were creating biological and chemical weapons that will specifically target only black people. Right? But this weapon that they have here in the United States, these radio wave and microwave frequency weapons, this is to control society as a whole. Okay? And so and understand these things, right? So like I said, I take up the mantle of exposing these things, because I doing my targeting, I realized that what they were trying to make me believe in terms of why I was being targeted was all bullshit. It was all a smoke screen. Okay? That's what it was. It was basically a smoke screen, because they were truly telling me exactly the reason why. All right? Like I said, every time I went on to a site, if I'm watching a video on Farrakhan or civil rights leaders in the past, you know, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Malcolm X, you know, the Black Panther, man, the amount of whoop whoop that was happening as I was reading to try to scare me and intimidate me into not reading those things. Okay. So like I said, people want to believe whatever they want to believe, you know, and they're good at manipulating people's mind. Okay. But they've manipulated my mind long enough. They may still be able to do so, but at least I've gained some control over myself back. Right? And so it is now my um, I should say, it is now one of my life goals or life purpose is to expose these things. And that I will. I have no doubt about that. And so, you know, like I said, you guys can go and get this book online. It's called Physical Control of the Mind Towards a Psycho-Civilized Society. All right. So, oh, I did receive another phone call from the unregistered number, and let me play it. And what you are hearing is someone sniffling and then coughing. And basically what that is the threat of getting cancer, because we know, right, from evidence that when Russia was microwaving the U.S. embassy, when Russia was microwaving the U.S. embassy in Russia, that a lot of diplomats end up dying from cancer. Okay. And there are a lot of people out there who don't have a history of cancer, don't smoke or have you, and all of a sudden come down with cancer. So we have to think about these things, right? Anyway, you know, I mean, they're gonna make people believe whatever they want to believe, and it is what it is. Okay, but you know, I want to keep on fighting, keep on speaking out, keep on exposing, because again, that is one of my purpose. Okay, and I have many purpose, not just one. This is one of them. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.